In western Kenya, the Great Rift Valley features this spectacular landscape of highlands and wooded hills. Here, a mile above sea level, stretches the unspoiled savanna of the Masai Mara National Reserve, with gallery forests along the many rivers where the wildlife come to drink. This is a land inhabited by fabulous African cats. Lions, majestic in their dominion over the plains, living in small family groups called prides. The solitary cheetah, always on the alert in these immense grasslands. And the leopard, who haunts the forests with its mysterious presence. Lions, cheetah, leopards, three cat species with entirely different lives. Just before sunrise, the antelope graze in the vast plains. For safety's sake, the wildebeest and topis spent the night together in compact herds. This couple of grey-crowned cranes are flying off from their nighttime perch, but they'll be back at sunset. This morning, many species are starting the day, stretching and setting off in search of food. This is Kisaru, a female cheetah. She was given her name by the Masai guards who protect the reserve. 3 months ago, she gave birth to 6 cubs, a very large litter for a cheetah. Kisaru is a valiant mother cheetah, determined to raise her cubs to maturity. Statistically, less than half will reach maturity. Many young cats are killed by other predators. That's why Kisaru never stops watching over her cubs, while leaving them enough room to grow. Kisaru's cubs are weaned. They're no longer nursing, but they still can't hunt. All they can do is scare off this eland, an antelope over 100 times their weight. Playing together is the best way to build muscle and train for the future, when they will have to fight. If they're not taking a nap, they're moving all the time. They love playing with their siblings, but their mother's work is never done. Here's a pair of black-backed jackals. This is their territory, and they make it clear that the cheetahs are not welcome here. The cubs get the message, and their mother, Kisaru, doesn't want to fight. She has to stay healthy and avoid being bitten, because that would prevent her reaching top speed when running down her prey. And so they keep on moving past these grazing Thompson's gazelles. The cheetah and her cubs are always on the move to stay ahead of territorial predators. Kisaru is constantly looking for a safe place, somewhere she can survey the surroundings, where she can find enough to feed her family, making the right choice, setting off in the right direction, The life of her cubs depends on it. As she strides through the grass, bearing her responsibilities, the vast plains of the Masai Mara stretch into the distance. Earlier in the morning, another female cat was watching her surroundings. Leopards show tremendous agility in trees, where they often hide. This leopardess was named Kaboso by the Masai. She's making the rounds, urinating to mark out her territory. She spends much of her time hidden in the bush. For the time being, the main reason she's hiding is to protect her leopard cub. He's only 7 months old and could fall prey to lions or hyenas. When she sets out to hunt or to inspect her territory, Kaboso leaves him alone in the bush, sometimes overnight. The leopard cub is used to being on his own from a very early age. This prepares him to be independent when he's 1 year old, and his mother sets him on his way. He has no brothers or sisters and plays with anything or anyone within reach, including his mother, whether or not she's in the mood. It's early morning, time for Kaboso to go hunting. The long shadows help her blend in and take her prey by surprise. This rabbit isn't much of a meal, but it's enough to feed her cub. Scavengers will come if she stays in the open, so she drags it into the bush where the cub can eat in peace. At his age, he needs 1 kilogram of meat a day. There's no telling when the next meal will come, and he gulps down everything he can, until he wants a cuddle from his mother. He'd like some milk, but his mother shows that he's too old for nursing. Kaboso is also hungry, and she can eat what's left. This curious little antelope, called a dik-dik, surprises the leopard cub, who's still too small to attack. Lions prefer the open spaces. This pride has settled in the middle of the grasslands, where the lions reign as masters, strong physically, and also strongly bound by the solidarity of their pride. Lionesses live together and jointly raise all the cubs in the pride, under the protection of 2 male lions, including Doa, the dominant male. The lions hunted last night and are finishing their meal in the early morning. The cubs are playing in the coolest hours of the day. A lioness puts an end to the fun and takes them off with her. The females all join in to raise the young lions without distinction. Right now, with all the cubs, the pride looks like it's on a school trip. Many rivers run through the Masai Mara, and the lions know the best watering spots. The cool, shady riverbanks where they can drink before the sun is too high. Here, the water is relatively clean, not fouled by the hippopotami. All the lions drink their fill. And then it's time to play again. Lions aren't the only species to come down here for a drink. This solitary wildebeest chose the wrong time to join them. The lioness is so close that he can't risk turning his back and trying to flee. The lion cubs advance, and the wildebeest looks vulnerable. The danger is closing in. The wildebeest has no other option but to stand its ground and defend itself to the very end if need be. The wildebeest is stuck. The lionesses could finish it off on their own, but they wait to see what the cubs can do. But the wildebeest is fighting back, and the lions have already fed. And since the cubs can do no more, there's no point in risking injury. A lioness steps in to restore the peace. The calm way she stares at the wildebeest, without being aggressive, seems to say, "You can live another day if you let our cubs go free." The cubs may be too young to hunt prey this size, but they've proved their courage. It's been a learning experience, and the first lesson they've learned is that you don't always win. It's time to leave the river, but for tired lion cubs climbing on a full stomach, that's easier said than done. They have to find their own solution. In the wild, the school of life is constantly teaching lessons. And after a few uneasy moments, they are back with their mother. They're all together again, cuddling and grooming each other. And then it's time for a nap. The wind is rising, and the grasses are drying in the heat. This is the heart of the dry season. The plains of the Masai Mara have taken on a golden hue. The parched yellow grasses can no longer sustain the herds of zebras and wildebeest. They are gathering for the great migration. Their instincts tell them that the rains have begun to fall further south in Tanzania. There, green pastures await them. This is the annual Great Migration, the most spectacular event for African wildlife. Herds of nearly 1.5 million wildebeest and zebras begin a journey that will take them several weeks. They form gigantic columns to climb the hills and cross the plains. It's a perilous journey, and nearly 10% of the wildebeest will die. The migration covers 400 kilometers, and there are innumerable dangers along the way. Many drown in the mighty rivers filled with Nile crocodiles, 4 meters long and weighing half a ton, waiting in ambush. The wildebeest hesitate before moving forward. They crowd together on the riverbanks, and this inevitably attracts predators. They can wait for several days before one of them, bolder than the others, finally makes the first move. There are 30 meters to the other side and a chance to survive. The rest of the herd then takes the plunge. All the wildebeest rush into the water, where there may be safety in numbers against the crocodiles. The wildebeest struggle against the current with all their might. They must also escape from the crocodiles and climb to the opposite bank without being crushed. Some of the younger ones will drown, and the crocodiles will waste no time. The vast majority of the herd has crossed unharmed. But not far ahead, there's another river to cross, and another test. This martial eagle cannot hunt young wildebeest, but is perfectly capable of attacking a newborn impala. The shock and the power of the eagle's talons leave the impala no chance. The impala is too heavy to move and will have to be eaten on the ground. The eagle spreads its wings to hide the prey because vultures have found it already. The eagle is under pressure from the vultures and won't have much time to finish. After a successful hunt, it's often hard for carnivores to eat in peace. Luckily for the eagle, the vultures have found something else. Carrion, not too far away. It's a wildebeest carcass that has already been picked apart. These birds are nature's disposal service in the savannah. The vultures and the marabou stork are ready to fight over what little is left. This male ostrich, flanked by his harem of 2 females, has no use for carrion. His diet is mainly grass and other plants, plus occasional insects. His pinkish skin is flushed right now in nuptial plumage. It's not the best color for blending in with the savannah, but it's the only way to go about courting a lady ostrich. Grey-crowned cranes live in couples, and they often mate for life. They feed on whatever they can find, insects or seeds. Sometimes they approach herds of grazing herbivores that attract insects. These Thompson's gazelles are used to living with the cranes, but seem fascinated by their intricate rituals as they communicate by dancing and calling back and forth. As long as the gazelles see no warnings in the crane's behavior, they continue to graze. Meanwhile, Kisaru and her 6 young cheetahs are still on the move. They've eaten nothing today, but at least they can quench their thirst. The mother cheetah takes longer to drink. She knows she needs all her strength to hunt, but her cubs won't let her drink in peace. She teaches them to read the scents that other cheetahs leave to mark the trees. The curious cubs follow her lead. Because there's no threatening scent, Kisaru feels this is a good place to take a nap. Time for her to find inspiration for the hunt. Lions also like to rest through the midday heat. In fact, most cats do. Lions spend over half the day just dozing. Nothing seems to bother them. Not even the elegant stride of a solitary giraffe. This lion cub might like to play, but that would mean moving from his comfortable position. then sleep soon closes his eyes. Not far away, a pair of lions have separated from the rest of the pride. Doa, the dominant male, is eager to begin, but the lioness isn't willing to mate just now. If Doa is to succeed, he will have to persevere and show respect. She isn't in the mood just now, so the lion will be patient, even if it means waiting all afternoon. Those few seconds of mating were worth the hours of waiting, because the mating cycle has now begun and they will mate every 20 minutes or so for the next 2 days. And despite the sun's fierce heat and their own fatigue, the lion couple will stay here together. Kabusu, the leopardess, is still with her son, away from the heat, in the bush. She looks tired and nervous. Her instincts tell her that something is wrong. She decides to inspect around the woods. There's something in the air that sends a warning. Sniffing her marker points, she understands that a male leopard is roaming in the vicinity. He could be seeking a mate, in which case he could kill her cub and mate to induce ovulation. Running away would be pointless, because the male leopard would simply follow her scent. Kabusu decides to stand guard. If the male leopard comes her way, she will see him first. When the sun is highest, many species will simply rest, but not the elephants. They continue to move majestically through the Masai Mara plains. Elephants tolerate the heat very well, provided they have enough to drink. Guided by the matriarch, they march in a line to the nearest watering point. They spray mud on their backs to cool down and to protect their skin from the sun. But nothing beats a good mud bath. It's not only the young elephant calves who have fun. But if you weigh 4 tons, you still have to drag yourself out from the mud. So far today, Kabuso hasn't been bothered by the male leopard. But as she grooms herself, there's a movement in the bush. The male leopard is coming her way. If he comes any closer, he could attack her cub. Following only her maternal instinct, she decides to take the lead. She knows what the male leopard wants, and she will submit to keep him away from her cub. Even if she's not in heat, she behaves as if she were, so the male focuses on her and not her son. Lascivious and provocative, she shows that she is ready to mate, to do whatever it takes to keep him away from the cub in the forest. As always with the big cats, mating is brief and ends aggressively. The male might want to rest, but Kabuso hasn't finished with him. She won't feel safe until he's completed the mating cycle, in which they will mate dozens of times over a day or 2. Luckily, the male is getting old and he tires quickly, but she won't let him rest too long. Kabuso knows that she and her cub won't be safe until he's gone, and that won't happen unless he's fully satisfied. So she continues the mating ritual. And even if he seems exhausted, Kabuso tries even harder. If she wears him out, he won't be tempted to return anytime soon. Male cats often bite the necks of their females to keep them calm, but it can be painful. Kabuso herself seems a little tired. The skin on her back is irritated, but the male doesn't seem to want to leave. Despite her injuries, maternal instinct demands that she continue her seduction game, even if it takes all night. The young cheetahs spend a quieter afternoon. But they're hungry, and Kisaru will have to hunt to feed them. This means returning to the grassland. But a storm is approaching. If it rains, most of the gazelles will shelter in the forest, where Kisaru won't be able to chase them down. Now, the grasslands are empty. The cheetah will have to wait with her cubs, even if it means putting up with their antics. Kisaru is sniffing for prey, but the wind carries only the approaching storm. The only mammals on the horizon are her own cubs, who won't keep still. Once again, the cheetah is ready to do whatever it takes. The troop of elephants is also going to the forest, not to escape the rain, which actually hydrates their wrinkled skin, but to feed on the vegetation. An elephant needs to eat from 150 to 200 kilograms a day, so it spends all day eating, even in the wind and rain. If you're going to get wet, you may as well cross the river. This one-year-old elephant calf will not stray from his mother. Scampering up the riverbank is a learning experience, showing he can cope with slippery terrain. And to prove he can do it on his own without help from adults. The rain is far less pleasant for the cats. But cheetahs avoid the bush, so Kisaru and her cubs will simply endure the rain. After the rain comes the time for grooming, not just for washing, but also to comfort the cubs and strengthen the family bonds. But comfort doesn't come easily on an empty stomach. Kisaru must leave her cubs to go hunting, now that the antelope are grazing again. She spotted a Thompson's gazelle and her fawn away from the herd. The fawn's back is turned. She'll have to creep up closer because gazelles too can run fast. The gazelle saw the cheetah, but too late. With the collision at over 80 kilometers an hour, the fawn is killed instantly by the impact. The mother will have to be more vigilant for her next fawn. That's the hard law of nature. a nature where nothing is lost, because the fawn will feed Kizaru's cubs. Kizaru carries the kill back to the edge of the forest for her cubs. It's not a huge meal for 7 cats, even if cheetahs require less food than leopards. Kizaru will have to hunt again tomorrow. But she seems to have other worries today, and she remains on the lookout. She hears hyenas nearby. Hyenas are predators and could attack her cubs. Kizaru has to get them away as soon as possible. The cheetah family is on the move again, across the vast grasslands. Raising 6 vulnerable youngsters, feeding them and protecting them on her own, takes a lot of courage. But Kizaru has courage to spare, and to the rumble of the thunder, she leads them forward to what she hopes will be a bright horizon. On the other side of this stretch of forest, the hyenas have assembled. They're hunting a wildebeest that tried to escape by taking refuge in a stream, but now is trapped, surrounded by the pack. There was a time when hyenas fed mainly on carcasses, but now there are fewer lions, so they leave less carrion for other species. Today, hyenas attack live prey more than before, and that's bad news for this wildebeest. Staying in the water won't improve his chances of survival. And now the hyenas attack. The hyenas are ferocious. The fight is soon over. But hyenas are scavengers and never evolve to kill their prey outright. The wildebeest is being eaten alive. Not far away, the male leopard, who left Caboso to rest for a while, heard the commotion and moves closer. The smell of blood fills the air along the river. He might find something to feed on. It's already dusk when the leopard finds what's left of the wildebeest under the water. But he does not linger over the carcass. It's been claimed by another family of hyenas, and the leopard is not ready to fight for it. The little he's eaten is enough for now. And even if it's worth taking advantage of carrion, he prefers fresh meat. He'll leave the rest of the carcass to the hyenas. What is Caboso doing? She's still waiting for the male to leave her territory before returning to the cub she's left hidden in the woods. But she's hungry. These Egyptian geese might fit the bill. But the birds are on the alert. And this time, they get away. Meanwhile, Caboso goes back to the middle of her territory. This young martial eagle was more fortunate and took advantage of the dim light to swoop down on a rabbit. These young owls, Verro's eagle owls, are awake at nightfall. Storms have been threatening since late afternoon, and there is thunder all around. Even if she's used to it, Caboso witnesses the fascinating spectacle of the wrath of the sky. There's no rain, but she is still taking cover. During the night, Caboso finally decides to climb onto a branch to rest. That's an excellent observation point for watching the sunrise as the wildlife awakens for a new day. But she can still sleep late. At the edge of the woods, a herd of taupe antelope are already grazing. Just off to one side, a female seems to realize that today will be no ordinary day. She's on the verge of giving birth. This young taupe seems to find it intriguing. And a little frightening too. The mother sees her baby for the first time and sees that he is alive and well. Now it's a race against time. With so many predators, the newborn taupe has only a few minutes to learn about finding its way around and fleeing if need be. Instinct demands that he coordinates his muscles and stand up on all four legs. After licking him clean, the mother taupe encourages him to move forward. Cold and trembling, he'd like to take shelter under her, but she makes it clear that now they are physically independent. He has to take control of his body and master the freedom of movement that nature has provided. So, within 15 minutes after being born, this young taupe sets off in the great plains of the Masai Mara, ready to discover whatever life holds in store.